Hello everyone. Today we will discuss about the philosophical or spiritual base of psychic centers or chakras. We know that philosophy teaches about the duality of our existence, especially the Jain philosophy talks about the dual existence of everything including the self, especially the mundane self. Philosophy teaches us that we exist in duality. That is, we are made up of two elements. One is our consciousness, that is soul or spirit, and the other is our material body. This duality of existence continues until the conscious element achieves emancipation. And that is, we realize purest state of our consciousness in that emancipation. In the mundane dual existence, the conscious element must have a physical or material body to function in this world. In fact, there is not only one body which we are familiar with, but there are two more subtle bodies which are known as the karmic body and the Tejas body. They are also known as subconscious mind and unconscious mind. The composition of our personality is extremely complex. We can try to understand this diagrammatically in the language that the nucleus of our personality is the conscious element, which is the conscious stuff or the soul. Completely surrounding the nucleus is the more subtle body called karmic body or causal body or unconscious mind. This produces the envelope of passions and emotions. Radiations from the nucleus have to emerge out through this envelope to manifest the conscious activity. This manifestation of the activity is called the conscious field. We can say Adhyavasai, that is the field of primal drives. The karmic body is itself enveloped by another less subtle body, which is known as Tejas body, or vital body, or energy body, or electrical body. It is also known as the subconscious mind. The conscious activity ultimately manifests itself in the gross physical body via this bioelectrical body, which energizes the brain and the nerves. Thus, our life processes lie almost wholly within our souls and are amenable to be controlled by our spiritual self. Our primal drives, animal impulses, and carnal desires can be controlled and subdued by developing our reasoning, mind, and wisdom. It is the spiritual self which gives the strength of subjugating the patients by developing wisdom. Now you would see that how the endocrine system is creating an intercommunity transformers in themselves and affecting our life. So we know that as we accept the duality of existence, we realize that there must be some means of communication between the subtle spiritual self and the gross physical body. That is, there must be some inbuilt mechanism within the body through which the former can exercise its power and authority and control the grosser elements of blood, bones, and bodily organs. This mechanism must translate the code of intangible and imperceptible spiritual forces into a form of crude power which is material enough to work through flesh, nerves, and other material chemical constituents of our body. These intercommunicating transformers between the most subtle spiritual and the gross physical selves are our endocrine or ductless glands, which produce and distribute through blood circulation chemical substances called hormones. Endocrine and psychic centers are very closely connected. Philosophers, scientists, and doctors unanimously agree that these endocrines profoundly influence emotions and mental attitude of a person. Dr. M. W. Karp, MD, writes in his book Glands, Our Invisible Guardians, our jealousies, hates, fears, struggles for wealth, power, position, our lusts, and superstitions all call upon the reserved supply of adrenal secretions, the fighting or energizing secretion until the glands are exhausted. In this way, we have seen that he is writing that the glands are the source uh, of all these primal drives. Other glands also become distorted by overwork. All passions and emotions are expressions of the endocrine glands. Their arousal due to recorded past will overload the system and their work is disintegrated. Excess secretion produces psychological distortions and weaken the glands. It is therefore necessary that we control and regulate the passions and emotions. The emotional impulses must be resolved by conscious reasoning to avoid the overloading and dysfunctioning of the system. There is a root of psychic centers or chakras in the ancient medical system or science of India and also in acupuncture therapy. There is a famous aphorism of the Jain scripture Bhagavati Sutra, and it is Sabvenam Sabve. It means that all the innumerable points of our conscious element or our soul are psychic centers. However, in certain parts of the body, there is greater concentration of the conscious element than in the other parts. This can be expressed in other words thus the whole body comprises of an electromagnetic field, but the intensity of the electromagnetism in some specific parts is many times more than that in other parts. Our brain, sense organs, and the endocrines are such specific centers. Ayurveda calls these centers vital centers or marmasthan in technical term, and they have identified 107 vital centers in the body. These are therefore the important centers where the conscious field is more intense. There is a remarkable coincidence in the location and significance of the psychic centers identified in the Preksha meditation system and the vital centers identified by the Ayurveda system. Techniques of acupressure have identified more than 700 centers in our body. These centers are placed suitably or are stimulated by silver needles to relieve pain and cure many diseases. This system claims to cure some difficult cases. It is believed that all the vital organs, including the brain, are reflected in the sole of our feet and palms of our hands. Thus, the vital centers, acupressure points, and the endocrines are associated with our psychic centers and profoundly influenced by them. Psychic centers vitalize all important organs, including the sense organs and the mind. An important purpose of meditational practice is to establish A more balanced equilibrium in the functioning of these organs, perception of psychic centers can do this efficiently. Now we would see that how our wisdom center of wisdom is closely connected with the center of has some connection with the center of sex. So, and how our consciousness is more active in the lower and the upper part of our body. The physical body can be divided into two divergent fields and psychic activities. The portion above the navel up to the top of the head is the field of wisdom, and that below the navel is the field of patience and sex. The conscious action is concentrated sometimes in one field and sometimes in the other. The flow of vital energy generally flows the conscious action. The field of passion is the main source of creative energy or libido, and the conscious action of man is normally more concentrated in this field than in the field of wisdom. This is because libido is a primal drive, and the average man today is constantly subjected to tremendous sexual excitement. Thus, most of the time, the conscious action is concentrated in the neither field. According to the psychologists, sexual urge is the most powerful and the most persistent of all instincts in man. The stage of other instincts is much less frequent, at times fear, sometimes anger, occasionally jealousy and haughtiness, and so on. But he is never entirely free from the stress of sexual excitement, and the resultant tensions are very deep rooted. Besides pleasure, the field of passion is also the center for misery and cruelty. One suffers misery due to loss of some beloved possession or due to undesirable association. Pleasant and unpleasant sensations are produced in this center. Suffering from pain, efforts to remove pain, cruelty, jealousy, hatred are all expressions of this center. Intrinsic level of consciousness is also very important to understand in this context. Mind is not the intrinsic level of consciousness. Our instincts and impulses such as anger, conceit, jealousy, and greed constitute the intrinsic level of consciousness. Ill health emanates from there. Our character also emanates from there. It does not emanate from the brain. Character depends upon emotions, and the latter emanate from the endocrines, which are not located in the brain. So far, brain was believed to be the seat of emotions and was the most important organ. Similarly, heart and kidneys were also believed to be vitally important organs. But recent advancement in research has proved that the most important organs of our body are ductless glands, endocrines. Endocrine secretion does not flow out from a duct, it is distributed and reaches the target through the bloodstream. It is distributed and reaches the target through the bloodstream. Impulses, urges, and evil behavior are all expressions of the endocrines. The vitiated and distorted tendencies of men cannot be purified unless one modifies and transmutes the endocrine production. Goodness of character and honesty cannot be achieved, and psychological distortions cannot be eradicated without influencing the endocrine system. The tool for achieving inner harmony is transmutation of hormone secretion and not preaching. This fact has been proved by experience and applies to 95% of people. Only very few who have developed a higher level of consciousness could be exception to the rule that to establish and enhance moral value, transmutation of the endocrine output is essential. Interaction of feeling and behavior is also very important to learn about them, how it happens. Instincts not only generate feelings but also command appropriate action to satisfy the need. This is true for all animals, including man. The most basic feelings, primal drives, are the unlearned instincts such as hunger, sex, anger, fear, and aggression. Animals just act out instinctive rituals of eating, courtship, and fighting. As for man, hundreds of other emotional responses based on powerful feelings, not necessarily instinctual, but learned, interact with primal drives, either reinforcing or countermanding it. He can control his responses to the insistence of the instinctive drive because he has the reasoning mind. He can modify his behavior. He may, for example, channel an erotic mood on to another creative action. This capacity of modification of behavior distinguishes man from beast, which is incapable of controlling its responses to the command of instinctive drives. Because it does not possess a reasoning mind, a beast will always remain a beast and its behavior will be bestial. Man, on the other hand, is capable of countermanding his bestial feelings and subjugating his carnal desires. Uniqueness of man is this, that in many respects, no doubt, man is also an animal like any other. He does feel angry, hunger, beset with fear, and sexually aroused because he, like others, also possesses the primal drives, the unlearned instinct of aggression, hunger, and sex. To eat, to work, to fight, and to reproduce are common to man and other animals. He is bound by his needs. Hate, love, desires, and lust dominate his actions. But there is a level of consciousness within man that is higher than that in other animals. We see that he is bound by his needs, but he can also control consciously on his primal drives and also some bestial instincts. But we know that there is a level of consciousness within man that is higher than that in other animals, and possession of some basic human characteristics makes him a very peculiar and in many ways a unique human being among all other living beings. According to the theory of evolution, man represents the culmination of the process of evolution. Human mind and personality are unique and constitute the highest product yet achieved. What to say? Achieved. Sorry, and so this highest product yet achieved by the cosmos. This is because man alone came by means of his inherent conscious reason, along with its chief offspring science, has the power of setting higher standards and values for his progress. Lower organisms do not possess a reasoning mind. Mere survival capacity for adaptation to only imitate circumstances is inherent in them. Animals and plants go on generation after generation, living as their progenitors have done. The unique characteristics of man are biological as well as psychological, and a review of the former ones, though can make interesting reading, is rather irrelevant for here for our discussion. The characteristic which concerns us the most is man's capacity for rational conceptual and conscious judgment. Man has two minds, the conscious and the subconscious mind. The subconscious consciousness is the impelling force in man and is expressed in the endocrine system. Our emotions are the actions of the endocrines. The reasoning mind itself has no emotions. Now you would see that how a modern science is also talking parallel to the spiritual science. Modern scientific research has greatly deepened our knowledge of neuroendocrine system. One remains a dwarf while another becomes abnormally tall. One is ugly while another is beautiful. One is healthy and robust, another is sick and a weakling. One is intelligent, another is ignoramus. All these depend on the hormones and neurohormone secretions and their synthesization. They coordinate and regulate all important functions such as birth, growth, development of brain cells, and metabolism. Let us review these discoveries of science in the light of the ancient wisdom. Um, One of the 8 branches of karma is called Nam Karma in Jain philosophy. Nam Karma means body making karma. It governs many important functions of the gross body by its various sub branches. One is dwarf or tall according to the dictates of bone and body making karmas. Similarly, beauty and ugliness, popularity and unpopularity, and many other qualities are governed by various departments of this karma. It is clear that this karma is mainly responsible for the different parameters of the physical body. It is obvious from the discussion that the ancient philosophy and the modern science reveal the same factual knowledge through, though in different terminology. Science describes the process by the words like hormones, chemical messengers, feedback system, etc. And the ancient wisdom disseminates the same knowledge by such technical term as fruition of the karmas and subsidence of the karmas. Now we would see that how yoga and physiology are connected with each other. Yoga emphasizes the location of various chakras or psychic centers, and they are also recognized as in the form of different types of lotus. Physiology tells us about endocrine glands. Surgeon may declare that we have dissected the whole body into minute beats, but we have not seen any chakras or lotus anywhere within the body. Conventional surgical operations can never discover the existence of chakras, etc. Let us ignore the existence of navel lotus, or let us not argue whether Akya chakra exists or not, but we cannot negate the existence of pineal, pituitary, thyroid, etc. If we are prepared to ignore the myths, legends, and superstitions, and if not, if only we can adopt a comparative attitude, it can be seen that there is no real or significant divergence between yoga and what we say physiology. In the past, we have been taught almost exclusively by exhortations. We can now be taught by facts proved by science. We can safely assume that philosophy and science can together pave the way for higher wisdom for the benefits of mankind. All that is necessary is that the ancient terminology and their interpretations be expanded, modified, and restated in terms that encompass newly discovered aspects by science. Now we would discuss about a little bit about the benefits of the perception of psychic centers, so that we can see that why this meditation is so important for us. So there are so many benefits of this particular practice of meditation. Core benefits of perception are found here as fundamental change, threefold benefits of perception. It means there are benefits which are pertaining to our physiology, some are related to our mind, and some are related to our own spiritual realm. So we know that there is center of wisdom in the body, which is located on the top of our head, and that is the place of our brain. So brain in general and cerebral cortex in particular is the psychic center of knowledge. This is also the center of wisdom and one of the most important centers of consciousness. All mental states manifest themselves by the complex neuronal activity in various areas of the cortex. Brain, with the help of nervous system, is the medium of translating the coded imperceptible activity of the inner subtle body into a crude power which activates the conscious mind and the gross body. Intelligence, memory store, capacity of purposeful planning, all these are found here. Sensations, coded messages sent by the sense organs and other sensory output inputs are processed and interpreted here to become perceptions. It is the apex of the central nervous system. Cerebrum, cerebellum, and brain stem are all associated with the center of wisdom, and hence concentrated perception of this center will improve and refine all the mental functions which we have discussed so far. Perceptual meditation, that is a kind of praksha, first awakens and then develops this center. Its development improves intelligence, strengthens memory, and reinforces perceptual activity. Perceptual meditation of the entire cortical area may result in higher levels of consciousness. This is an important aspect of the manifold parapsychological possibilities. In general, a psychic center, which is developed by the technique of perception of psychic centers, laid down in the previous discussion, develops parapsychological ability. In particular, the perception of cerebrum and cerebellum can develop one's extrasensory perception, which is known as ESP abilities. Memory of previous life or lives, precognition, clairvoyance, etc. are some of the ESP possibilities which can be achieved by regular systematic perception of these centers. Center of peace, which is known as Shanti Kendra in Praksha meditation system, and it is located in the front part of our head, that is the place of the hypothalamus.